Hey you, and welcome. In this video, we will be enhancing our terminal. This tutorial is for Mac users only, and we will be using iTerm 2 to install and enhance our terminal experience since we'll be spending a lot of time in there. So let's dive right into it. I currently have the documentation open for installing iTerm with Solarized theme, and that's the one I will be following. I'll put the link for that with this video. And iTerm 2 is an application for Mac that builds on top of terminal that already comes with Mac, and then we can enhance it by making it visually appealing when we work with it, and also have some features on top that help us write the code or commands that we're working with. All right, so let's follow this documentation. So install, we have to start with brew. Now, by default, Mac should not have brew command. So I'm going to just try and type brew in my terminal, and that should say command not found, which is accurate. Now brew, let's install homebrew. That's the name of the command. Cool. All right, and then for brew, I will just have to copy this code or command and go to terminal and paste it in. Press enter. I'll put in my password. Pressing enter, and that should take a little bit of time for you to install the brew on your computer. All right, so brew is installed, and there's a few more steps for me to follow. As you can see in the next steps section, I have to run these 3 commands and then run brew help, and then brew installation should be completed. So I'll just copy paste the first line and enter. That should do the first command, then second command, copy paste. Perfect. Just make sure there's no errors when you run the command. If there's no output, that's a good thing. That means the command runs successfully. But if it does come back with some output saying syntax error or something, just take a look at that. Make sure you're copying it correctly. I'll press enter again. And there we go. All 3 commands are ready. That means at this point, if I do brew help, it should show me the documentation for brew command. Let's see if that happens. Perfect. That worked. All right. So with that, with brew installed, I will close my terminal, and actually I may have to open it again. Let me close the Safari tab for Homebrew, and going back to the documentation, now I can run brew install cask iTerm 2. So open terminal, paste in brew install cask iTerm 2, and let's wait for this to finish. Okay, that command ran successfully. iTerm 2 should now be installed. So I'll just try and open that from my applications. iTerm 2, there we go. Double click and open. Perfect. So that's iTerm 2 installed and ready to go. I have to still configure it because you can see the terminal looks not so different from the terminal that we had open initially. So not much value coming out of this. I will, however, show you some keyboard shortcuts. The feature that I really like and use a lot of it is opening many terminals. Because with built-in terminal in Mac, you can open many terminals, but you have to keep opening terminal application again and again. However, with iTerm 2, I can do Command D, I believe. That will split my screen into 2 terminals. So on the left-hand side, I have a terminal, and right-hand side, I have a terminal. Command Shift D will split it horizontally. So those keyboard shortcuts I really like. Command W will take away the terminal. Command W will take the terminal again. And that's it. So those keyboard shortcuts I use a lot. And that's one of the biggest values I get out of this. I'll close the application. Keep the iTerm open. I'll close the terminal and go back to the documentation. Next part of the documentation is asking me to download a theme and use that in iTerm. I'm going to work with Solarized Dark theme. That's usually my go-to. So I'll just right click on it. If you click into it, it's just going to take you to an XML file, which is a raw file. You don't really have to work with that. You can just right click on the link and download file as, and you can put it on your desktop or document wherever you like. I can just keep it on desktop and save. Great. With that downloaded, I can go back to my terminal, iTerm, and press Command, comma. That's one way to do it. Or I can go to iTerm and Preferences, I believe, Settings. So Command, comma, or just Settings, both do the same thing. I prefer the keyboard shortcut. I'll go to Profiles and click on Colors. And in Color Presets, I have a bunch of options. There is Solarized Dark there, but the one we have downloaded is a patched version. So that's the one I'm going to be using. I'll click on import and select the file on desktop that we just downloaded. Press OK. Go back to preferences and see if there is a, there we go, Solarized Dark patch. That's the one I'm looking for. I click on that and that should change my colors accordingly. So we're looking a little better. It's not black anymore. It's the color that we were going for. And I think when we install OMyZSH, that's going to make it look even better. So let's download that next. Let's install using curl command. Curl command is just a command to make a API request to the internet using the command line. Okay, so let me see, where's my terminal? Paste that into the terminal, press enter, and that should download OMyZSH for me. There we go, it has downloaded it for me, and some things have changed in my terminal. As you can see on the left hand side, I don't have as much as I had before. I had the whole name of my computer. Now it's just blank. So if I clear out of this, that's how my terminal looks at the moment. Let's keep going in the documentation. Next, we have an option to pick from whether we want to work with Agnostor or Power Level 10K. I feel like we should go with Power Level 10K. I'm seeing a few reviews here about how it's faster and gives you more information. That's always beneficial in CLI, so that's the one we're going to go with. So I'm going to skip over the Agnostor portion and I'll go directly to Power Level 10K, copy that. And in order to make that change, there's a few ways to do it. I'll do it directly in terminal. So I'll go back to iTerm and do nano.zshrc. That should open the file for me. Now you have to be in the home directory. If I do pwd, I'm in my home directory of my users and my username is Zimzim, so that's the one I'm in. If you're not in your home directory, just type in cd and press enter. They'll take you directly to your home directory, and then you can run the same command that I'm running, where I'm just going to do nano.zshrc. Nano is just a lot more beginner friendly, whereas Vim is more preferred way to make edits in the terminal. So I'll just take this out, paste in the value I got from the documentation, and exit, Control X. It will ask me to save the changes, and I'll say yes, save the changes, and the file will be called exactly as it was called before. So press enter. Great, and I'll clear out of my other commands. All right, let's see what's next. Oh, I forgot to run one of the commands earlier. So before we make this change to Power Level 10K, we have to run the command above to get the theme in the right places. So I'll go back to iTerm and just copy paste that, press enter, and that should clone the Git repo for me in the themes. Nothing breaks at this point because for terminal to take the changes into effect, we have to close the terminal, open it up again, or run another command to source the changes that we just made. So no harm, no foul. We can run this command after and make the changes first. That's okay too. Great, that's done. I'll clear out. All right, next is asking me to restart the terminal and the wizard should open up. So let's see if that's true. I'm going to Command Q, close my current terminal, open iTerm up again. And I don't want to check it. There we go, a wizard opened up, and we're going to follow the prompts. Mostly I want to work with the recommended way. So in this case, let's see what is asking me. Do you want to work with that? Yes, I do. Why? And it's downloading the fonts for me that will be necessary to make the terminal look good. Okay, restart the terminal again. All right, Command Q, enter, open the Spotlight, Command Space opens the Spotlight, iTerm, and open that up again. There we go. Now it's asking me, are you able to see this diamond? And yes, I am. Next thing is, are you able to see this log? So it's just doing a test to make sure that all the fonts are downloaded properly. I'll just say yes. Just make sure you don't see a question mark. Otherwise, that's a problem. Yes, icons are close, overlapping. No, none of them are overlapping. They're close to it. They're fine. Okay, next is which theme do you prefer? I like the third one, so I'll go with 3. And Unicode or ASCII. Ooh, this is a good one. I'll go with Unicode. Next one would be how much more information do you want? Do you want time format? Do you want 12 hour, 24 hours? I prefer to work with 24 hours, and I'll just go with number 2. Next is asking me the separators that we want to work with, whether it be diamond slanted. So it's talking about these blue lines specifically I don't really care. I'll work with the first one. Sharp. Okay, so do you want the sharp edges? Do you want the edge like this? I'll stick with one. Flat is fine for me. I kind of like this third one too. These are very important decisions. I'll work with number one. Oh, actually the tail has. You know what? I'll work with number three. I like the diamond shape of it. All right, one line or two lines. I prefer two lines. The larger the font, the better. It's just easier for me to see and differentiate between previous command and new commands. What else? Disconnected, dotted. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like to work with some kind of separation. I may go with three. All right, frame or no frame? Full frame, right, left. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think I may go with the full frame here. Just easier to read. Frame connection, should they be lighter, darker? Somewhere in the middle, I would say, not the lightest. Let's go with number two, light. Then how should the command prompt be? I want this to be more sparse, so I'll work with number two. Few icons, more icons. I always like more visual cues for myself, so number two. Concise or fluent? Ooh, I will do two. It spells it out more beginner friendly. Let's work with two. And what do we have here? Enable transient prompt. I do like that. Yes, I would say that's more beginner friendly. Let's work with that. So why? And how would you like the prompts to be? Work with verbose. More prompts, the better, because then we can see what's happening. Where is it breaking? So let's work with number one here. Apply changes to ZSHRC. Yes. All right, perfect. There we go. Our terminal is looking so much better already. And I can run commands and it gives me prompts accordingly. If the command takes too long, it will put a frame around it. Beautiful. Great, our terminal is all set up. I'll see you all in the next video.